Welcome all the speakers. And today we're also very honored to have the chair and vice chair of ABKC Online to give us warm welcome remarks. Mr. Srinivasan is the executive chairman of Imura and has been a director of the company since incorporation in 2008. He's an associate member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and Institute of Cost and Works Accountants of India. He's a qualified company secretary from the Institute of Company Secretaries of India. Mr. Srinivasan has prepared a welcome video for us. Let's watch the video together.
Good day to all of you. Welcome all of you to this conference on Web3 security architecture and the PKI, which is related to this, conducted by the Asia PKI Consortium. Asia PKI Consortium is a consortium with more than 10 member countries, and also governmental as well as private sector organizations are part of the Asia PKI Consortium. The consortium has a working group called Business Application Working Group. The Business Application Working Group, under the leadership of Karen Chang, last year took the task of compiling about this Web3 architecture, Web3 security architecture, and how PKI can help in the Web3 security architecture. So this kind of a detailed work was commissioned last year by Asia PKI Consortium, and under the leadership of Karen Chang and other members involved with her. The study was conducted. So today, the report on this Web3 architecture and security architecture relating to Web3, it is going to be presented. So Web3 is a decentralized architecture, and a lot of research is being carried on about this Web3 architecture and how Web3 can be useful for the businesses and also for the governmental organization. And in that Web3, the security is an important part of it. Identification of the people and the entities transacting through the Web3 is a very integral part of it. So that's where the PKI really provides a very good scope for the Web3 security architecture. So they have prepared a detailed report, and today's today's event, so many eminent speakers are going to talk about the Web3 architecture and the PKI association with the Web3 architecture. So that way, it is going to be a very interesting meeting today, an interesting event today on the Web 3.0 architecture, and again the PKI's association with the Web 3.0 architecture. And I trust that it will provide good inputs to all the participants and good knowledge to all the participants who are participating in this event to learn about Web 3.0 as well as for the PKI association with the Web 3.0 and how the security architecture in Web 3.0 can be strengthened. So it will provide useful insights. So with that opening remark, I again welcome all of you to this event. And now I request Karen Chang, who is the leader of the Business Application Working Group of Asia PKI, to further conduct these proceedings. Thank you very much.
For several years, and it always amazed me in terms of some of these new ideas, initiatives that people kind of innovate within this new setting. And as we move on to the metaverse and embrace the next generation of the internet, we call it Web3. It is interesting to see how all these technological components get pulled together to create new value opportunities and business models. We are seeing blockchain, we are seeing the use of digital wallets, we are seeing a lot of new innovative ideas. Tokenization as a business is going to be becoming more popular, and all that kind of ties in to making use of existing public key infrastructure, something that the world has put in place for the last 20 plus years. And we are seeing that being put to use in a very kind of interesting way, some new ways. And with a lot of these new ideas, it always comes with new risk and new exposure. And it is very timely, that the working group, business application working group, looks into this area and explore the security implications on that, not just for the infrastructure itself, but also in terms of some of the technical components that is essential in this world. As we move into the new digital world, we actually, do need to, and expect from a consumer point of view, the adequate protection when we use wallets, when we get into metaverse, when we kind of exchange data and transact, in this new digital economy. And so, it's great to have so many good speakers, experienced speakers to share thoughts and also case studies in this seminar today. So without further ado, let me pass the back to the organizer. And we look forward to an invigorating an exciting talk this afternoon. Again, welcome you all to this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, William. Please remain online, and we're going to move on to the group photo session. So where is our photographer? Oh, he's there. We're going to take a photo first with the audience. So Eric. So all the audience, if you don't mind, you can take off all your masks and let's take a photo together. Okay. Okay, 1, 2, 3. One more. Can we have a thumb up, please? Thumb up. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Good, good, good. And all the speakers, please come to the center of the stage and let's take a picture with the online speakers together. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Smile, smile, smile. 1, 2, 3. Speakers online, we're also taking photos with you. Okay, one more. Okay, good. Can we also take a picture with the banner? Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. And Audrey, please remain on the stage. Yeah, we will have slide on. This is for you. So our first agenda is digital resilience for all, insight into Web3. Audrey is known for revitalizing the computer languages Perl and Pascal, as well as building the online spreadsheet system FPL in collaboration with Dan Brickley. And in the public sector, Audrey served on Taiwan National Development Council's Open Data Committee and the 12-year Basic Education Curriculum Committee, and led the country's first e-rulemaking project. And please be reminded that if you have any questions for Audrey, you can scan the QR code on the screen and ask your question on Slido. So let's welcome Audrey.
I'm really happy to be here. I'm honored to be invited here. I'm Audrey Tanto's Digital Minister. I'm on Ethereum as AudreyT.eth and on Tezos as AudreyT.duz. Today I'm going to answer Slido questions because I was just told that for the next 20 minutes or so, there's a lot of very interesting questions already from the audience, and some of them has been posted on Slido. So I would just, instead of reading our script, to read from Slido, and which goes like this. The top question asks, the government is centralized, but Web3 is decentralized. So how to balance between centralization and decentralization? It's not quite accurate to say government is centralized. Only authoritarian governments are centralized, and the dictatorships are totally centralized. But in a democracy, the government is designed with checks and balances. So it's what we call a police-centered design. For example, the judicial branch, the legislative branch, and the administration are usually 3 different branches, so at least 3 police-centered, whereas, of course, in our country, there's 5 branches. But in any case, the government is designed also to work with municipalities, and the municipal government also has the capability to build their own rules. So in that sense, it is also a police-centered approach. So Web3 is quite useful for democratic governments because it increases the possibility for innovation. As many of you know, here in Taiwan, early on in early 2020, we opened up the real-time inventory of all the mask rationing in all the pharmacies and later on convenience stores. And more than 100 different applications sprung up because of this shared ledger. Every developer knows that there's at least 100 other developers that has exactly the same copy of the availability of masks and later on review testing and things like that. And so because of that, nobody has the motivation to tamper with this shared ledger because they will be discovered very quickly. And so that is the same idea really as Web3, where there's a lot of people who host the same sort of ledgers can cross-verify each other, and that reduces the incentive for tampering. But it's not just that. Based on the decentralized common knowledge, that is to say, I not only know you have a copy, I know you know I have a copy, and I know that you have a copy. Based on this idea of common knowledge, we can then do coordinations that was previously not possible under authoritarian governments. For example, my ministry has this idea of the public benefits data-based, non-personal data-based innovation is an open call for anyone to go to 100.api, Administration of Digital Industries, .gov.tw, and anyone can say, oh, I have this great idea that doesn't involve processing of personal data in a centralized manner, but rather we use PETs, privacy enhancing technologies, like zero knowledge, homomorphic encryption, and things like that. And so, for example, we can provide automated sign language translation for people with hearing and speaking challenges, and sign language is one of the national language in Taiwan, by the way. So it also spreads its culture and so on. Now, to build that translation service in a centralized way would necessarily mean that an AI provider will actually eavesdrop into all the conversations between people and the people who need interpretation. But using the latest multi-party computing, zero knowledge, homomorphic encryption, and so on, the latest PETs, we can actually train that AI together without any processor getting any insight into the underlying raw data. So the contribution of the code is brought to the data instead of asking data to come to the code. And that again is a core Web3 idea. It's a composability of a public code that everybody can then encrypt their data but still work with a common code. And if you enroll into the 100.api competition, very interestingly, you will be asked to work with crowdfunding people to secure some donations for your project. And you will be told that you will get a matching grant from the Ministry of Digital Affairs only if the sum of the square root of all the contributions to your crowdfunding is larger than your competitors. Now this is called quadratic funding. And again, this is something that is only possible in a common knowledge mode where everybody knows that everybody else is contributing to the same commons, so that we can calculate not in a traditional matching grant just for people who actually can take a loan or something to get the government matching fund, but instead have to prove that there's at least these many people who individually all consider this project as important. Now, to anyone who wants to game the system, understand like a e-petition or an e-signature, if anyone can manufacture like 5,000 identities like overnight, then it is impossible then for us to know whether the quadratic funding is fair or not. So it is true that there is one centralizing force at play here in this decentralized world that I just described, this plurality world, and that is identity. We do rely on FIDO on the citizens' digital certificate and other identity providers like telecoms and so on to verify that it is actually a citizen participating in this quadratic funding. And so this is like Web 2.5 or something. It's a bridge between the Electronic Signature Act, which is also the purview of MODA, with the decentralized world. But the decentralized world is like our lab that tries to democratize more and more public services. And at the moment, the root of trust is still at the PKI, at the MODA and the Ministry of Interior. But in the future, we can easily think about cooperating with other sovereign countries like EIDAS and so on for cooperability and interoperability. So this is my take on the relationship between the centralizing force and the decentralizing force. But we're democracies, so we'll become more and more decentralized. The next question asks, what is the government's policy to go to the Web3 age? I cannot speak for all of governments, but at least in MODA, we do have a guideline. And that is a book that I'm writing with Glenn Weil. It's at plurality.net. And in the book, we outline the sort of direction that we want to take, and it's called plurality. Plurality means collaboration across diversity. So it's not collaboration by harmonizing everyone so that people only follow the same ideology, but it's not people going so divisive and polarized against each other. And one of the recent implementation of the plurality idea is actually found in Elon Musk's company called Twitter. Maybe you have heard of Twitter. So on Twitter, if you see Elon Musk or somebody post something that is controversial, chances are you will see a community note. It's a mandatory footnote that you cannot avoid retweeting. You cannot just retweet that tweet without retweeting also the community note. And community note is again selected with something like quadratic funding, except this time it used a region algorithm that calculates the most likely common understanding, a good enough consensus across the polarized ideologies on Twitter. In other words, it's a measurement of bipartisanship. It's a measurement of plurality. If a community note gets the like from the people who normally don't like each other, then it's more likely that a community note will surface. And this is again something we have prototyped in Taiwan as part of the V-Taiwan experiment in 2015 using the Polish algorithm. The community notes team, previously known as Birdwatch, is kind enough to share as common code on GitHub all the algorithms and papers and things like that. And there's a direct lineage from our experience in 2015 from Polis and computational democracy all the way to Birdwatch and then now to community nodes. So we are committed to develop and invest in more collaborative technologies like this that brings people together across those different communities instead of asking the community to adapt to digital transformation. That is not what we're doing. So the next question goes, 想问部长，数位发展部有没有要发展自己的公链？ So is the MODA trying to invent our own public chain so that you can do dollar MODA or something, right? We're not issuing dollar MODA at this moment. And the reason why is actually quite practical. There are already collaboration chains between the different branches of the government, the financial ones, of course, but also for the judicial ones, right? For the evidence in a criminal investigation, different branches, including the judicial and the administration, and the different agencies within the administration need to set up a collaborative chain with a odd number, like 7 or 9 of peers, so as to mutually authenticate each other. And this is the sort of innovation that we're promoting. That is to say, take the innovations from the public chain world and then apply its spirit, but not necessarily its code, to, as I mentioned, quadratic voting, quadratic funding, and this kind of collaborative like alliance chains. And so this is the step we're taking at the moment, but we are, of course, very open to work with any public chain providers that satisfies this kind of plurality-based innovation. So the next one asks, so can the MODA do more infrastructure or common service? For example, can we run a blockchain node service or Oracle services So I understand this is the blockchain article, not that article, or on-chain data analysis for Taiwan startups. So these are all very good ideas. And the great thing about MODA is that we are multi-stakeholder. We have a department of democracy network, 民主网络司, that builds relationships with not just other sovereign countries, but also decentralized autonomous organizations. We have a section dedicated for decentralized autonomous organizations, the 多元宇宙和 interoperable metaverses section. And so you're all welcome to work with the Democracy Network. I think they're setting up monthly gatherings and multi-stakeholder panels and so on, so that we can commit to each other. This is like a Schelling point, right? People discover each other very naturally, very easily, and so that we can develop the sort of services. But of course, if you do not want to wait for consensus for that to be reached in a blueprint or something like that, you can just go ahead and do that. And we have a lot of activities, not just the 100.ADI project funding, but also the presidential hackathon, the Ideathon, and so on. There are many, many platforms on top of which for your idea to gain foothold and to win the hearts and minds of career public servants. So there's a question that says, so in your position, what can we do to promote Taiwan's Web3 token economy? So this is a really good question. In designing the 100.ADI activity, we asked each project eligible for the quadratic funding must declare that its innovation solves at least one of the 17 sustainable development goals. And they have to be very specific, as in which indicator or which target. There are 169 of these. Which target are you trying to improve in a measurable way? Because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is that the government exists to promote public benefits, the public good. And the public good, the international measurement is the SDGs. So if you can say, oh, the Ministry of Health and Welfare is already committed on these and these SDGs, and I will just take one target or one indicator from the SDGs that the MOHW is committing to improve anyway, but I can prove that with my great Web3 idea, with the same amount of investment, it can reach 10 times more people, or it can provide 10 times better service to save time and so on. By calculating the time and the cost and the number of visits, you can prove to the MOHW that your idea has a higher social return on investment, or SROI. And with the SROI, that unlocks the idea of retroactive funding, right? So not just quadratic funding, which is what the before had, but rather the idea of a kind of impact certificate that leads to impact investments that could be issued as an impact bond and so on. And there's a lot of social entrepreneurs in Taiwan that already know how to work with the SROI industry because of our previous commitments, net zero carbon emission and things like that. And so think about the utility of your projects, not necessarily about carbon emission, although that's probably easier to calculate among all the SDGs, but try to calculate anyway, and to align it with one or more of the targets of the SDGs that any other ministry, not just MODA, have committed to improve. And then our job will be introducing your innovation first to the MODA public servants. We will use your service first, right? And then you will be on this common software procurement platform, the 共同供应契约. And once you are on that platform, we will introduce the Ministry of Health and Welfare or any ministry that is taking an interest to your services, so that you can also provide public digital infrastructure the same way that the mass rationing map and contact tracing through 192 to SMS was the public infrastructure that was used by tens of millions of people during the pandemic times. Hope that answered the question. So I have only a couple of minutes left. So the next highest voted question is, do we have a SBIR that supports for Web3 or digital twins or things like that? Well, the good thing is that all the existing projects, even the 促参法, the Public-Private Partnership Act and so on, nowadays includes digital infrastructure in the definition of infrastructure. That was not the case in 2015, where 建设, 公共建设 or 基础建设, basic infrastructure means something made out of concrete, like something concrete. Starting in 2016, we started redefining the term. So nowadays, things made of bits are totally qualified for infrastructure budget. So you do not have to seek to carve out a special kind of Web3 or digital or whatever track. You can just look at the infrastructure budget and then say, oh, this infrastructure project, the kind of benefit that it tries to deliver, we can augment or amplify it in a way that uses Web3 technology, but with the public benefit that was declared by the original tender or procurement for that public infrastructure. So think about building Web3 as a public infrastructure that work with the people, not just for the people, would be my recommendation. And thank you for all your great questions. Live long and prosper.
I hope that already answered some of the questions because we have so many questions popping up on Slido. But thank you so much for participating in this event. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I really need to run, so.
See you soon. Our next agenda is the report of Web3 security from Clement Xie, Senior Researcher of Industrial Technology Research Institute. Clement Xie is currently a Senior Researcher at Industrial Technology Research Institute and Advisor at National Zhengzhou University FinTech Research Center. Clement's past working experience mainly focused on IT and financial solution design and implementation. In the last 5 years, Clement has participated in various research and projects such as open banking, RegTech hackathon, insurance RegTech research, and financial digital identity research in Taiwan. And please remember, if you have any questions, just scan the QR code and you can put questions for Clement. And let's welcome Clement.
Hello everybody. I will be the speaker for this presentation. As you can see, today my presentation is about Web3 security report. This research report is done by the ITRI, Industrial Technology Research Institute, and the Asia PKI Consortium. I hope you enjoy the presentation today. Why we are choosing this topic? Because we are believing Web3 is under development right now, and the identity system will be the foundation for overall Web3 ecosystems. Here is our research schedule for your reference. So in today's agenda, I will be briefing you about the Web3 development and its impact. Second, I will be introducing the identity system using the Web3 technology. Third, I will talk about the Web3 security attack case. Because we are using the identity system in the Web3, so we need to understand what will be the possible security case will be in the Web3 ecosystems. We need to understand the risk, so we will be discussing this risk by introducing several different cases. Finally, I will give the key finding about this research. As you can see, this is a brief web or internet development history. On the right-hand side, as you can see, everybody is talking about NFT and also decentralizing finance, DeFi. As internet to evolve into this stage, critical to understand what is Web3 about. First, I like to distinguish what is Web3 or Web 3.0. In our research, we're using Web3, not Web 3.0. Because in 1999, Berners-Lee give a definition about Web 3.0. He called Web 3.0 is a semantic web. Because 3.0 definition is given in 1999. So to distinguish with the 3.0, in this report, we're using Web 3 as its definition. As years go by, we have a newer technology such as AI, blockchain, edge computing, as internet grow and develop. So as you can see, this is our Web3 definition and the feature talking about in this research. In our research report, we have defined Web3. It's based on the Internet standards. It's a decentralizing worldwide web infrastructure using the semantic web and the AI analysis as the computing core. And it's also using the blockchain, also called distributed ledger technology, DLT, as the foundation. Since Web3 is an ecosystem, so the application and the business model of Web3 are still evolving and developed. In this slide, we will see the Web3 overall ecosystem, what will be look like. So as you can see, there are DAO tool, application, gaming, and social media all involved in the Web3 ecosystem. There are a lot of international standard organizations are involved to develop Web3 standards. On the top, as you can see, we have a standard like identity and the DLT requirement have developed. These international organizations have helped nations to set the standard for the Web3 ecosystem. Since we will be focusing in identity, as you can see, ISO and the W3C will be the international standard organization to contribute about the identity system and the standards. And for blockchain, please keep this in mind. Blockchain is good at automatic process. At the same time, it can also be a database for the transaction. Compared to the traditional financial transaction, most transactions need to go through the clearance and the settlement process. However, in the blockchain, it's all automatic process in one consent period. So blockchain can perform as the very powerful foundation for the Web3. But this also creates a problem at the same time. Since there is no checkpoint in the middle of the different transactions, so we need to understand the risk behind this new Web3 technology. So in the next slide, we will dive into the Web3 identity. You need to know identity system involve many steps of the process. So as you can see, in most simple identification process, it at least involves 2 steps. First, we need to do the identity proving and the verification. In this step, you need to verify the user to know who you are, what the attribute you are associated with. So after your identity proving is finished, you will receive either the certificate or the credential to use to verify yourself. The certificate or the credential can to verify your digital identity and authenticate in various transactions you will be performing. So as previous slide mentioned, many international standard organizations had provide these standards. So this slide just give you a brief concept about what its identity system about. In next slide, we will see the technology stack for different phases of the identity systems. In the bottom of the technology stack, various identity systems using the same foundation, which is cryptographic technology. You need to make sure these cryptographic keys need to comply with the identity standards and the identity management process. Depending on the interaction of the role in the identity system, there are 3 types of the identity system structure or models. First one is PKI, second one is confederation, and the third one is the SSI or the decentralizing identity, the DID. Like I say, there are many roles in the identity system. At the top of the slide, you will see the identity provider, which will be the issuer of the certificate or the key. And there are reliant party, which is the organization will try to verify users' digital identity. There, of course, will be users who will be using the issue certificate. It is easier to how does the identity perform by go through how we log into the website. In the Web 0.0, we log into a website by using the user ID and the password. In the Web 2.0, which is a social media internet era, most of the time we are using the Google or Facebook ID to log into different websites. For Web3, which is called sovereignty identity model, user using the wallet to store the identity and using this identity to log into the website. To better understand different types of identity authentication models, the role of identity provider, the reliant party, and the user hasn't changed. However, depending different type of identity authentication model, the data flow is different. Since we are talking about Web3 identity system, so we will be focusing on the self-sovereignty identity and the DID. So please refer to the blue line in the slide, and I will explain the data flow. The decentralizing identity is stored in the blockchain infrastructure. The user receives the digital identity from the identity provider and store in its wallet. Then the user can present this identity to the reliant party, and which will be verify the user's identity in the blockchain and sending the request to the identity provider and confirm the identity status. The issuer will issue the certificate or the credential. Then the user or the holder have the e-wallet to contain the certificate. In the Web3 scenario, the user can present the certificate from the wallet to the verifier. Then using the blockchain infrastructure, either public or private blockchain infrastructure, the verifier can easy to verify the credential from the issuer side. There are various standards for this Web3 identification process. Most of these standards come from W3C. First one is a verifiable credential data model. Then we have a web ledger protocol. And finally, we have a decentralizing identifier, or we call DID. The DID, decentralizing identifier, can point to the issuer's location and to do the verification. Also in the US, NIST have produced a research report focusing on the blockchain identity management system. By starting the blockchain identity management system, the US government focus on the regulation and the governance of the blockchain identity system. Now let's take a quick look at some of the Web3 security attack case. In the quarter of 2022, 48 significant attacks were monitored in the Web3 space, with total of loss of approximately of $780 million, down roughly about 40% from the $1.2 billion in the quarter one, about almost 2.5 times loss in the 2021 quarter one. On the security side, we are focusing on the common attack method in the Web3. So in the right bottom half, you will see the most common attack method in Web3. Those are flash loan contract vulnerability, VN issue, private key compromise, and the Oracle. These are the common attack methods in Web3, and we will explain in the later slide. First, let's explain smart contract vulnerability. So what is smart contract? In the traditional way we are doing business, both parties agree on the business transaction and maybe sign the contract between these business terms. If needed, this contract can take to the trusted party for notarization. Let's see the same process, how it works in the Web3 environment. The contract term will write as a part of a smart contract code, which is predetermined and will automatically execute when the conditions are met. The beauty of the blockchain also is the dangerous side of the blockchain. The automation can be the two-sided sword, so it's really depending how you're using this technology. Since smart contract is a programming code, as part of the programming, you always need to debug the program because there may be a logical or compile error in your program code. Since smart contract is also software, so we need to watch out for the bug. So some of the method or process you can take against the smart contract vulnerability is auditing and the source code review for your smart contract. Since the smart contract transaction execution also involve using cryptocurrency as a payment. So what is the flash loan? A flash loan actually is inject the wrongful instruction into smart contract. So since the Web3 transaction is automatic, so in the split second, this instruction will be rejected or repay back. So the hacker can steal this cryptocurrency. In here, we can see the example. How does a flash loan attack in the Ethereum? Next, we will explain the cybersecurity of the Oracle. So what is Oracle? In the actual case, when the smart contract execution, it may need some data from the outside of the blockchain. Here is the Oracle to play its role. So the Oracle will provide external data to the smart contract, act as the bridge. So maybe the government will provide a public blockchain infrastructure, and the car dealer want to using this public infrastructure. So the car dealer's data need to inject into the public blockchain infrastructure. Since Oracle is acting as a gateway or the bridge to the public infrastructure, so it also will create a vulnerability for the Web3.
In the blockchain, in the multiverse, actually, traditionally we think about identity system is a trust management. So we will be monitoring, a different side of identity. But in Web3, everything is automatic. You have a different check. So it's important. We need to secure the strength of the infrastructure. So digital identity actually is the first step. Actually, we need to really consider about it. Also, for APKIC's national member, different national member, need to think about how does this involve with international API. Also, we need to start think about a digital asset. How does this want to connect with your identity? Okay, so we have a 3 key findings about Web3. First is we think a well-defined identity system will help about in the Web3. And also trust nobody. So zero trust security architecture is needed. Okay, even blockchain says it's very trustable environment, but still they have a different way to attack this infrastructure. And finally, of course, we didn't talk too much about today. It's about digital asset, but that's what's more of the regulation side. Okay, so for identity framework, we very suggest sovereign framework. So as you can see in the bottom, we usually have the blockchain. You need to design the DID, and finally you need to provide wallet to the user, and also you need to come out with a governance mechanism or regulation mechanism for all the participants. And for zero trust concept, as you can see in the blockchain, we have identity device. So in the foundation of zero trust, you need we have 5 areas. So for identity device and the network, application, data, all you need to do to have to need to check. And finally, just briefly, as you know, regulation about digital asset. Okay, so I hope this presentation can give some maybe introduction or concept for the latest presentation, because I know some were talking about the consent protocol using the blockchain. Some also will be talking about what would be the identity using case in Thailand. Okay, so I hope this will be useful, and so this also conduct our research. Thank you.
Thank you, Clement. Due to the time Slido. So if you want, you can just raise your hand. No? Just one last call? Okay, let's give applause to Clement again, and thank you for your presentation. Thank you for sharing. All right. Next agenda is case study on Web3 protocol and creator economy. Charlotte is the PR director of the marketing of Tabet, and Charlotte used to be a blockchain VC and the marketing director of the most influential blockchain made in Greater China, in charge of the first summit from Blockchain Legal Forum about blockchain legal issues in Asia, and the first Asian Security Token Future Summit in Hong Kong and Singapore. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone, this is Charlotte, and I'll be sharing a little bit on the general idea of Web3 protocol and creator economy. So Clement actually shared and focused on the aspect of security and a little bit of the blockchain. Today, I'll be focusing on more of the general ideas and also on the content industry. Okay, so what is Web3 consensus protocol? Have you ever heard of consensus protocol? There's all different kinds of protocol right now in Web3 and in the whole blockchain ecosystem. So you can understand Web3 as Legos. Have you all played Legos before? We all do, right? They are different pieces. We piece them together into castle, into whatever forms that you want it to be. So Web3 has that idea of Lego, also in DeFi as well. So you have different pieces of it, and you piece them together and shape them and become a part of application. So eventually, if you break them down into, each and different pieces of it, it is, individual part of it. But when you piece them together, it can shape and become something else like NFT, DeFi, and etc. So this is the idea of Lego. So this is a rough idea of how DeFi ecosystem looks like. So when you look at the bottom layer, which is the core infrastructure, there's an L0, which is store of value. When you slowly build up, right, you go to the top. It's what we are most familiar with to most retail users and consumers. There are different applications, and the consumer get in touch with the different use cases. Look at those wallets and browsers. They are more at the upper layers of it. It all built upon different fundamental of the infrastructures. This is the DeFi product. You can have a rough idea. And then this is a landscape that was being produced and made by Coinbase, one of the public listed exchange in the States. So they separated into 4 different categories from layer 0, which is the protocol layer. I think you guys make the really familiar. I see some familiar faces right here. They are blockchain, they are Bitcoin, Solana, Avalanche. These are known as the public blockchain. And all the other infrastructure, use cases, and SSAs are all built upon different blockchains. So that's why you can see there are so many applications right now. And these can be understood as Lego, how we piece them up together and shape them into different products in the end. So Clement talked about the evolutions of web. So I'm going to follow up a little bit. So we also have the evolution from Web 1 to Web 3. So what is the difference is that in Web 1, we talk about content monetization, right? There's content, we trust the data and the information. And when we move on to Web 2, people started to have the idea that we can create some of our own content. There are contents that we can do, and there are contents that we can generate. And in Web 3 right now, what we're going to do is we have the idea of ownership of the content. We started to own something. We own the tokens. So that's why it becomes token monetization. And that's why you see there are hundreds and millions of crypto right now. So also the maturity model of blockchain actually aligned with Web 1 to Web 3. So for level 1, level 2, and level 3, it talks about how data and how information is perceived and how data and information is being used. When we're in level 1, we talk about, we see data, we see information, but we only consume, right? We're aware that there are information, we're aware there are data. So we receive and we trust the data. We don't think too much about modifying it. We don't think too much about changing it. But when we move on to level 2, we started to think about, can we trust this data? We started to want to kind of work with the data. We started to want to manipulate. We try to make use of the information and make it into something else. And now when we are at level 3, we can do data governance, and we can actually make use and interact, and we can use the data for something and make them into something else again. So this is also the evolution model of blockchain. Okay, so I'm pretty sure you guys are really familiar with ERC, right? So have you ever thought about how ERC has, transformed or become ERC? It's actually originated from EIP, which is known as the Ethereum Improvement Proposals. So, this is a process of how a new standard is being discussed or how a new standard is being generated. So as you can see, they will drop a new EIP and then they will go through a discussion section, a process, and eventually will create a new standard, which is the ERC, Ethereum Request for Comments. And then these are some of the most commonly seen token standards right now. For example, one of the commonly used will be ERC20, and then ERC721 is known as an NFT, right? So there's a non-fungible token standard. And we also have 1155, 3309, 2981, the NFT royalty standard. So it actually is all different ERC standards. Yeah, so I think this picture is really clear, right? So ERC smart contract itself, you can create, you can release, and you can do token release of ERC20 standard. As for ERC721, as I was mentioned, that's just commonly known as NFT right now. The NFT is equivalent to ERC721. Each of the token standard is all different. They are unique in general. See all different colors. And ERC1155 means that they can be separated by quantity, so you can generate different token, generate different NFTs with different quantity, means different numbers. As for ERC2081, it's really commonly used for the payment of royalties. I think this is really smart because how artists can be funded, and it also provide a new source of revenues, a new source of say income through the use of ERC2981. Right, so this is the idea of ERC2981, which is that original creator, be it a content creator, you can be artists, you can be singers, whatever content you want to create, right? It can be made through ERC721 or ERC1155. But, if someone wants to buy this from you, for example, I want to own your piece of music, I want to own like certain words of content from you, I get returns, I get profits from it. So how does it generate? You actually go through the EIP 2981 standard, and then eventually, this original creator can actually receive income and revenues from the other owners of it. So it actually create a very healthy and it actually create a very profitable economy through the different token standards. Right. So also this EIP 3664 is also really commonly seen right now in the gaming industry, also the GameFi space. Have you seen all these games with join our whitelist, so then you can get like a part of the NFT. You can get a hand of like a really cute cartoon figure, the legs or something, and eventually if you get everything, you will piece them all back into like a whole complete body, right? So this is how this means. So in order for that to break down into different pieces, they use EIP 3664. So this NFT, this token standard can be upgradable. It can be modified. It means I can remove a hand of yours. I can remove the legs of yours. I can remove a head of that particular NFT. And then I can combine them all together back into a piece of complete figure or whatever. So that's the whole idea of Web3. It can be proven through different token standards where we piece them together, we create something entirely new, but when you break it down, it can also survive on its own. Right. So another one that's been really commonly talked about or discussed about is the soulbound token. Has anyone heard of the soulbound token? Yeah, right. It's also really useful in a way because, we have different vertical industry that require different kind of applications. So for the soulbound token, what it means is that it cannot be transferred over and over again. Just now like NFT, it can be passed down to different people. Somebody else can buy it from you, right? So you get the return of profit. But for soulbound, it actually just bound to you. For example, just you. That's the only person who can own this token. So it is used in like certificates because it has to prove that this certificate belongs to you. You can transfer or you can pass down to someone else. So NFTR, social recovery mechanism, and other authorized dots. So I think it might be used to connect with what Clement has mentioned. So it might be used in some DID, I don't know, it's pretty possible because it's bound to one particular individual. Right. So a lot of people say wallets is like the key, the door to Web3. I'm not sure if you agree to it, but the whole idea of Web3 and DeFi is all built on the basis of wallets. And there are different standards of wallets as well. So we can generally group them into two. One is the EOA, the other is the CA. The externally owned account is really commonly used by all of us. If you have a MetaMask, do you have a MetaMask? Who has MetaMask here? Yeah, do you all have your private key, right? Okay, let me know your private key. So this is the idea of it. It is controlled by the private key. As long as your private key, you have it, you just sign it, right? You get access to the transaction. So like signing with my private key, I can transfer my funds to Taka. I can transfer my Bitcoin to Cindy, anyone like that. It is accessed and controlled by a private key. As for a contract account, it is slightly more complicated because other than the private key itself, it is governed by the code and there's storage of it. I think it's pretty general. So like I mentioned, so if you want to sign a transaction, if now you want to transfer a Bitcoin Ether to your friend, what you do right now is that you key your private key, and then this transaction will be uploaded to the memory pool. When it's uploaded to the memory pool, the miners will actually pick, and the miners will validate all this transaction. When the miners validate this transaction in time, in sequence, and then it's gonna be uploaded to the blockchain. That's why they say all these so it has different layers, it has different standards. So for the wallets, it has the security layer, they also have the transaction layer, and they also have the social identity smart contract layer. So even the wallet itself, you can break down into different pieces, just like DeFi, just like NFT, just like Legos. Okay, so why creative content? Just now we talked about digital identity, and right now I want to focus on the content industry. The problem that we realize right now with Web3, especially in the music industry, is that do all of you hear music from Spotify or other platforms? Yeah, Spotify, right? We all, listen to music on Spotify, and they even ask us to subscribe. But how much can these artists actually make? Do you know? There are about 60,000 of songs being uploaded every year. But the artists can only make less than 10K of the USD about there per year. I think there's the problem of the rewards for creator are greatly decreased. They are being tapped on, and also it becomes really end-shaped and unfair. Who make the money? The platform, the centralized platform like Spotify. So people thought about how blockchain can be solution for this kind of problem is that we can introduce a more transparent transaction, and also a way for all these artists to be funded with and also own their rights at the same time, so they will not be eaten up by all this mainstream live streaming platform. Imagine, you see, anyone here has NFT. It doesn't have to be like music NFT, like any kind of NFT, crypto punks, Fanta Bear. It goes up to like what, at least I don't know, 10, 100 Ether per NFT. But imagine an artist who sell a song at only 0.1 Ether. You know how many times does that mean that you have to play on Spotify? You have to play at least 67,000 times on Spotify to make the equal amount of money on any decentralized platform. So that's why people thought, oh, that's a new idea. This is a more fair, this is an open opportunity for all the artists, not just in the music industry, but also in the content industry. And also it creates a more interactive space, the community and the interaction to funds and to different resources in the platform. Yeah, and this one, people thought, oh, is Web3 really difficult to understand? How do I get to, step into Web3? There's always a cycle for a transition and evolution. When we move from Web1 to Web2, when we move from Web2 to Web3, you can take a look. There's this research from crypto.com last year. So to make a guess, how many people actually own cryptocurrency right now as of last year of 2021? It's about 300 million people. But how about traditional financial account? There are actually 6.4 billion of people who own a financial account. So in that sense, there's still a long way for the Web3 to actually come to mass adoption. So there's a long way for the Web2 to move on to the Web3. So innovators are always the earliest, OG, and then move on to the adopters where we introduce new ideas and we believe in it. But right now there is a case in between to move on to the early majority and for massive adoption in different industries. And this is also a hype cycle by Gartner. Gartner always introduce new ideas and new prediction and for different industry. They actually have another one for blockchain. So you can see all the hip word that we know of. There is a metaverse, this decentralized autonomous organization DAO, which they predicted it's gonna take about another 5 to 10 years to mature. And we also have all the hip names: C5, DeFi, the zero knowledge, the DK Roda, the Oracle, Web3, and Layer 2. So this is the hype cycle. Also means that it's still gonna take a few years, for all these to evolve. And we really need the experiences from Web 2 to actually guide all these Web 3 people. As you know, like Simon mentioned, there's a lot of fraud and everything, but it's not about the code and everything. It's always about, how people use it. It doesn't matter with like the technology and the value of it, right? Okay, I give you some applications in the creative industry. So these are some of the commonly seen use cases in the NFT space. There are the marketplace, there are the art marketplaces, and also utility marketplace. There are also other add-ons or other benefits you can get from owning one of the NFTs. And these are some of the benefits that we can enjoy while we kind of incorporate blockchain and different standards. Okay, so this is the whole idea of how NFT is being created, how the revenues can be returned back to the community, how the artists and how the creators can enjoy the benefit from only this. So what I want to say is that this is a whole process itself, but you can also actually break it down into different contracts. So that's the beauty of blockchain, that's the beauty of Web3. Each of it can stand alone on its own, and each of it can also combine back together to become and transform a complete process and complete journey. New idea of listing token instead of like an exchange or instead of some other traditional method would be couple launch. If I want to do a token sale, I can just go onto the couple launch at a certain period of time, and all the price and all the quantity will be market driven. So if I want to release a token at a certain point of time and there are many people who actually go after the token, the price will be driven up. So in this case, it is a more democratic way of doing token listing, unlike, probably exchange IO. And Audrey mentioned just now about quadratic funding. It is also another way that we promote, say, anti-civil attacks, and also another way to share and to distribute the resources and funds in a fairer and a more democratic way. So it's also being widely used in the common goods sector. And we, Taipei, also want to promote it as general as possible to other industries. So have, a share and a fairer distribution of resources and funds. So DAO, Calvin mentioned this, I shall just skip this one. And the analyst said it goes up to different layers as well. Okay, I would like to share some of the ecosystem. This is the greatest Southeast Asian country, including Taiwan, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. So these are some of the projects that we can see right now. And there are also Taiwanese projects and projects from Taiwan, which you can see Lutex, also Tea House, and as for Wallet, we have Blockto, Coolbase, and Exchange with Minecoin. And these are some of the sort of teams in Taiwan, from Taiwan. And these are some of the web landscape. It can be separated wallet, and I think Bezos is also like kind of infrastructure and the NFT. And there are more to add on, such as Zoma. We are also building a DeFi protocol. Right. And like I mentioned, we build all these applications based upon a public blockchain. Another public blockchain that's been also really aggressively developing will be the BNB chain. So these are some of the projects that are built upon the BNB chain, and especially for the music landscape. So it is really, I feel the application is becoming more and more a broad barrier, and it becomes a more opportunities for people to build upon with different tools. That's why we all create a new creator economy. So I'd like to mention one of the music product, which is Mallows. Their founding team is based in Taiwan, and they create different tools and they create different infrastructure or platform for artists to get on board. So those are the services that they provide. What I find it really interesting is that, you know, you can actually add music to your CryptoPunks. You can also add music to your apes. So this is what they do. They actually transform the PFP NFT to music NFT. That's one thing you can go through their Sonos NFT. They also have virtual band where you get on board and you can work with, say, artists like Lady Gaga or any other world-known artist. And also you can do Sonos and Megas Marketplace. What does it mean is that you can sell an NFT. You can also break it down. For example, if I have a piece of music, it contains a guitar and vocal and drums. You can separate them into different sections. So you can get the guitar piece of it, and then you can add it and transform it into another music. And when people get and buy that NFT, they actually get the returns back to all the original creators. So these create a very healthy and traceable creation habit and opportunities for everyone in the ecosystems. Yeah, there are more applications in the music industry. So when I talk about BNB chain, we also have the Polygon ecosystem. It is a layer 2 solution for Ethereum. It solves some of the problem right now on the base layer of Ethereum. So there are benefits and there are pros and cons. So these are just a brief idea of how all these blockchains have been doing right now and their ecosystems. Right. This is the project on polygons, the second do. So this is all from my presentation, a general idea of how Web3 it is like right now and how we can all contribute to a fairer and more democratic society together. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. I think we have one question for you.
Oh my God.
Only
really?
one, only one.
Oh,
Only
okay,
one
good.
question. Okay. So any extra applications of creator economy in Taiwan right now, like DAO or any other development?
Yeah, for sure. You see, this guy was trying to run away. He actually,
No one?
no, the question, he actually created a DAO. It's GOV0. Answer your question. I think that's a very good use case for the job application in Taiwan, right? And you work with GOV0 and Audrey Tan to create a more open space. You want to share a little bit?
Sorry, what was the question?
Like,
The application of DAO in Taiwan. So basically, I think there are. I was just going to the bathroom, by the way. That the whole application of DAO is one of them, I would say, because for us, we're just trying to build an application layer on top of Gov0 to supercharge Gov0 to make sure that people can get rewards out of their contributions, can get something out of their contributions, so they are incentivized to provide more, to contribute more to the whole society. So as you know, Gov0 has a lot of all these different projects, and people are trying to voluntarily building all these projects. But there are ways to get their accomplishments recognized somehow. Thank you.
thank you, Noah. Host in the Taiwan blockchain way. I think there's another use cases of it. It's in different aspect of it, right? So the community and also supercharge some of the already ongoing, say, common goods and SDG goals support kind of use cases around the community. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you so much for all the figures. And we're going to move on to the tea break right now, about 10 minutes, and we have to come back at 2:30. So please go ahead if you want to go to restroom like Noah. You just go straight and turn left. That's the restroom. And if you want to have more snacks, it's just at the back of the stage. And we will be back in 10 minutes. Thank you so much. We have Earth online with us, and he also prepared a 20 minutes video for us, and he will be waiting online. If you have any questions, just use the same QR code or the same link to join Slido and put your questions on Slido, and we will have time to have a Q&A session with Earth later. So let's watch the video together.
สวัสดีครับ Good afternoon
สวัสดีครับ
My name
Good afternoon everyone My name is Thanarat from Thaisen Foundation from Thailand Greeting from Thailand Okay, and today I will talk about the Web3 developments in Thailand. Let me share my slide. Okay, first I'd like to introduce the Thai Chain Foundation first. Thai Chain Foundation has four objectives. The first one is to promote the usage of blockchain in Thailand. Second one is to provide a public blockchain infrastructure. We have do it for 3 years now, and actually we are the first public blockchain in Thailand. And the third objective is to cooperate with any identity or for public benefits. And lastly, we will not involve in any political in any way. Okay, before we talk about the Web3 development, I'd like to talk about the Thailand blockchain situation first, because this is the direction of our development. We have three main regulators in Thailand. The first one is SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. They are responsible in the investment fields. And Bank of Thailand, they will responsible in Thai baht currency. If you do some product and you issue some digital asset that affect the price of Thai baht, you have to work with Bank of Thailand. For example, do the Thai baht stable coin. Yeah, something like that. Right now, you cannot do that. They're not allowed. And for the rest of electronic transaction, for example, e-meeting, e-voting, e-signature, e-election, something like that, all of them are responsible by Electronic Transaction Development Agency, or you can call it EDDA, ETDA, EDDA. We actually have more than this, but they will work off these main party to regulate us. For example, AMLO, AMLO, they will responsible for the money laundering. In our laws in Thailand, we categorize the token into three types. The first one is investment token. Use token as an investment unit. Security token. Use token as security asset. For example, the share of the public company can count as security asset. And last one is very popular one, utility tokens. Use token to pay for or access to service product or other privilege. This is how they are different. Security token can vote for the annual general meetings, can vote to change the executive for next year, something like that. Just like what we do with the normal share. Without the blockchain, we can already do that, right? But for now, we issue the token and use that token as a share of company. So we can do the same as before. But unfortunately, security token are not allowed in Thailand right now. They are not allowed it. Next is investment token. Investment token, you can receive the dividend from the profit sharing from the company. And lastly, utilities token. You can use utilities token to access to service, product, and privilege. This is some of blockchain products in Thailand. Actually, there are a lot more than this. If I recall correctly, it's almost 100 of them already. But we don't have that much time, so I picked some interesting case to show here. The first one is Bitcup chain. Bitcup is the largest exchange, digital asset exchange in Thailand. Basically, it's a Binance version in Thailand. Second, JFIN coin. JFIN coin is the token that used to use as the investment token at first. They are doing the ICO to raise fund. They raised over 20 million US dollar about 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not remember correctly. And right now they use the JFIN coin as a cryptocurrency to pay for the blockchain gas fee. Blockchain, they have their own blockchain, which is named JFIN chain, and that JFIN chain use JFIN coins to pay for the transaction fee. They can also use as the currency to purchase some product from the companies, because the letter J here is from J-Mart. J-Mart is the largest mobile phone retailers in Thailand. They also sell the electronic gadgets and computers too. So you can use JFin Coin to purchase their product at a discount price. Next one is MVP coin. This is very interesting product because MVP already provide the tourist service. For example, hotel, a car for rent, something like that. You can use MVP coin to purchase their service at a discount price. You can also use MVP coin to buy a plot of land on Metaverse too, because this project provide the Metaverse Thailand.com. You can check it, and you can use the MVP coin to buy your plot of land on that system. And last one that I would like to introduce here is JIB chain. JIB is the largest computer parts retailer in Thailand with more than 500 million Thai baht in value. And monthly income is about 1 billion Thai baht. That's a lot. That's a big number. JIB chain is their own blockchain network. JIB is in use for many use cases. For example, as a loyalty point to settlement the point that you earn from purchasing their product. NFT collectible, gamification activity. For example, if you purchase for more than 100,000 in 1 year, you unlock the privilege so you can enjoy some more of free gift, something like that. And next is NFT coupon. You can use loyalty point or use cryptocurrency to buy coupon and use that coupon as a discount for your next purchase. And you can also exchange the NFT coupon with other customers too. And lastly, right now they are exploring the idea of franchise investment and dividend, because in blockchain you can dividend the money immediately in real time. That's very interesting characteristic of the blockchain. They will use the e-signature NFT contract, so people don't have to invest to invest the money. And they also provide the secondary market for NFT contracts, so you can sell your contract to someone else without going to see them in person. That's very convenient. And lastly, real-time profit sharing per bill. They will provide this to the future of the blockchain. This is very interesting concept because real-time profit sharing is very exciting. Imagine that some customer go to the shop and purchase something, and then immediately the profit is sharing to your wallet at that moment immediately. Wow, that's very exciting. Okay, but I don't like to talk about the financial product a lot because someone already lost a lot of money in the financial product. So for today's topic, I'd like to talk about the beyond cryptocurrency. But first of all, let me remind you of the advantage of blockchain technology again. The first one is immutable. Immutable means you cannot change the data that already stored on the blockchain. It's transparent. Everybody can see the content on the blockchain and can inspect, can audit at any time, any moment by anyone. It's very transparent. Secure, because no one can pretend to be you as long as you keep your secret private key safe. Yeah, as long as you keep it safe. Okay. Once we know what blockchain can offer us, we come to this. This is our very first Web3 products. First one is voting. Voting, this as I show you here, all of them are not a serious topic because we are doing the experiment of Web3. This is the contest of handsome, contest of beauty, and the star contest, the fan can vote for the star they love using the token on blockchain technology. But this case, we don't need to know the identity of the voter because this is not serious. It's for entertainment purpose. But what if we want to know the identity of the voter? How can we do that? We do it with the digital ID, but unfortunately, this detail is in Thai, but I will try to translate it to you later. This is the standard provided by EDA, ETDA. EDA separate into two parts. EDA standard separate into two parts. The green one is identity assurance level, basically the registration process. You do it only once. And after that, you just have to do the authenticator assurance levels, which is basically login. You do the registration once. After that, you do login. And in the future too, you come back, you just log in, right? You don't need to make a registration every time. And we have many levels of trust depend on what use case of your product. For example, you can use level 2.3 to apply for a loan. Yeah, you can borrow a money without going from your home. Actually, you can do it on your bed too. You lie on your bed, you apply for a loan, and you get some money. Yeah, that's very easy, and that is what a digital ID provide us. I would like to go in detail, but I don't have that much time, so I will go only at the level 2 instead. Level 2 can separate into many level. 2.1, 2.2, 2.3 depends on the trust level that the platform need. I will talk about the highest one is 2.3. 2.3 is require you to use your ID card, put it in the card reader. We call it dip chip, and we read the data from your ID card and go check with the e-government service whether it's valid or not. And then we will take a picture of you. Then compare your picture with the picture on your ID card, whether it's same or not, using AI. Or someone can use fingerprint to some product, some platform you use fingerprint instead of photo. Because in the ID card, it will contain the fingerprint of you too. All 10 fingers are all contained in the ID card, and they can use the fingerprint to compare to the data inside the ID card. And lastly, do the OTP with email or SMS. And this is how registration works. You have to do it only once. This is the example of how we dip chip using the ID card. At this point, you have to go outside your house, go to the shop, or maybe go to the kiosk and put your ID card into the card reader. And after that, you don't need to go out from your house anymore. You just log in, right? As I told you before, you just log in. You just do the EAL process without going from your house. Here, this is the login process. Login process can have a lot of level of trust too, but I will focus on level 2 instead. Level 2 have two sub-level, 2.1 and 2.2. Basically, this is the two-factor authentication, and 2.2 is three-factor. As you can see here, use a password and use a SMS OTP or email OTP or something like that. And in the 2.2, use password, use OTP. And then lastly, use the biometric comparison. Take a photo of you, compare of your photo that you registered previously, whether it's the same person or not, using the AI, something like that. This very high level of trust. And you can do this to apply for a loan, open a bank account. So, briefly, we use digital ID in this use case, and we store it on blockchain as a record or proof that we can use on the card. We use it for KYC to identify yourself, and we use it as an e-consent platform to manage the permissions. And this is very interesting one. We use e-signature. We use digital ID in e-signature as a document signing. This use case can open a lot of use case later. But before going to that, I would like to talk about the e-signature first. We have many types of e-signature, but we are running out of time, so I have to do it very quickly. We have general signature, which is type 1 and type 2 and type 3 that using the PKI, the public key service infrastructure that use the private key to sign the contract, sign the signature instead. But at the type 1, you just take a picture of your scribble and put it alongside with the document, and that's okay. That is the type 1. When you go to the court, type 1, the one who trusts in that e-signature prove the trust to the court. But for type 2 and type 3, because you use the private key, you do not need to prove it to anyone. But the one who distrusts that e-signature prove the distrust to the court. This is how the e-signature look like, and you see here we have the AAL, which is the digital ID reference number here, so you can go and check whether the me really do it myself or not. Okay, and this is some use case that we can be used with the e-signature: degree, transcript, awards, seminar, certificate, experience record, language test results, something like this. We can use a lot. But the interesting use case is e-election. Okay, I have 4 minutes left. I will try to make it as fast as possible. E-election challenge, as you know before, the data stored on the blockchain is very transparent, can inspect by anyone, but not in case of e-election, because we want to know who come to the vote, but we don't want to give the information about which person we voted for. Basically, this vote have to be kept secret. But how? This is what we do. We do it with the FOO, full 92 protocol, which is researched by 3 Japanese researchers, Fujioka, Okamoto, and Oka in 1992. And we adding some of our technique here, which is the blind signature. This picture is maybe confusing, so I'd like to talk about this picture instead. We have 3 parties here: the voter, the election commission, and the smart contract, which is the Web3 blockchain. Firstly, we create the wallet that you can do offline, because create wallet can do it offline. No need to keep a risk to yourself. Just do it offline on your mobile device or even on your computer. You can do it any way you want. And then create a ballot. Ballot is where you put your vote in, and this is how the ballot look like. It's just some kind of text. We call it JSON format. We also put our address which we created before here, and we put the number that we want to vote for here too. And then we blind it with the public key of election commission. We blind it with blind signature technique. And at this point, we will get the blind factor, which we have to keep it secret to ourselves and use it later. And we also have a blinded ballot here. Then we do the digital ID authentication, then submit the blinded ballot back to the election commission. The election commission will verify the digital ID authentication is valid or not. Is it really me or not? And then verify the vote right, had right to vote or not, already vote or not. And if I pass, they will sign the blind ballot with blind signature. The characteristic of the blind signature is the person who signed that document do not know the content inside. They cannot see what we are voting, who we are voting for. But they will approve, they will sign our ballot anyway, because we do the digital ID already to prove our identity already. So in this in this case, they will sign it using their private key. Election Commission using their private key to sign our blinded ballot and then send the blinded ballot signature back to us. We then unblind the ballot, then submit it to the smart contract anonymously. This has to be anonymously because someone else will know who you vote for if you do not know it anonymously. And we can achieve this by using the EIP 2771 standard, which basically someone else pay the gas fee on the blockchain for us. Because if we have to find if we have to prepare the gas by ourselves, we have to go to the exchange and buy it, and the exchange will require us to do the EKYC, right? So the exchange know who you are. Once you buy that gas, they can track the gas back to your election wallet address. So this is not safe. This is not anonymous. We have to do it anonymously, and we can achieve that with the EIP 2771 standard. Okay, at this point, we will unblind our ballot with the blind factor we created before in this step. And then we send the unblind ballot to the smart contract. Smart contract will verify the signature of Election Commission and know that this ballot is valid or not. But they don't know who sent the ballot to the smart contract because it do it anonymously. But we know it for sure that that ballot is valid because they have the Election Commission signature on them. Yeah, this is how the smart contract do it using the public key of Election Commission party. And once the election has ended, the smart contract will count the result, and Election Commission will approve the election result, then announce it to the public. And this is what the Web3 developments in Thailand looks like right now. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Earth. So I've seen that we have one question on Slido, and you've answered on Slido as well, but I would like to read the question for the audience on site. So the question is, what is the attitude of the government of Thailand toward blockchain, Web3, and crypto market? And I've seen your answer on Slido, but do you want to elaborate more on this question?
Sure. Fortunately, they're quite open about it because they release new regulation almost every month, and mostly they accept almost every kind of project that related to Web3 technology. For example, if you are launching a project related to utility token, it means you can use your token as a loyalty point, as a coupon to discount your product. You can do it without any regulation and do not need to ask for permission from the government.
Thank you so much. We have no more questions on Slido, but the audience on site, do you have any questions to ask Earth? It's a very precious opportunity to have a speaker. Oh yeah, sure. Yeah.
Currently inactive. Is it active now, or is it still in development?
Earth, did you hear the question?
Not. Please repeat again.
One more time, please.
Okay. I just want to ask, is the electronic election active now, or is it still in development?
The electronic election, is it still in development, or is it active already?
Still in development, regulated by ETDA. Actually, we have e-voting regulation now, and it's not not quite far from e-election, because in e-voting we have a secret voting too, and that kind of voting is just same as e-election. So hopefully we will have the small election that we can use the e-election in the real production world.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the question, and thank you for answering the questions. And thank you so much for participating from Thailand with us. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And we will going to move on to the next agenda. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you the bridging, using digital wallets to bridge the Web3 environments to Web2 environments. My name is Michael Quirrell. I'm an advisor for Quirrell Incorporated and co-founder of Startup IQ. So what are we going to talk a little bit about? It's like one of the things that we have been looking at is really due to the growth of digital wallets and verifiable credentials and some of the underlying rails that the Web3 applications and protocols are creating. There is an opportunity for creating the next gen wallet that bridges the experiences that consumers have on Web2 with the Web3. The decentralization and some of the abilities that decentralization and values that decentralization brings to the table. So what are they? It's like, so, well, one of the big ones to me is really how Web3 uncouples the identity components from the application side. And if you look at Web2, they have the identity layer integrated into their application, which really then creates an environment where the user is pretty tied to the application provider. Web3, if you believe on the path that Web3 is going to, allows them for greater level of choice by controlling and managing their own data points. So one of the hypotheses is, of course, that FIDO is, as a protocol, is able to do that. But let's review a little bit to bring it all into context. The whole evolution is like of moving from an informational economy as the beginning of web is like to a platform economy as the Web2, but it's really being centralized and creating some silos, protecting those, the application and the user and tying it all together. To Web3 is like where all of a sudden is like you have an ability to have a decentralized approach where the user has control of their information, of their identity, and it's able to pick and choose is like what are the applications that they want to share that information with. So to me, in one sense, that brings an opportunity for a revolution on the way that we manage the data. And it's all related around the digital wallets, because if you believe that the digital wallet component provides a path for the user to have all of their information under their control on their mobile device, then all of a sudden now you have, it's no longer an evolution, but it's really a revolution. The question then becomes the experience and their interoperability between the Web3 and the Web2 environments to make sure that the user is not confused and we do not leave the user in the background. So as you can see, it's like Web3, there's a lot of different wallets going on. A lot of them have been related to the DeFi and the crypto activities going on. But we're starting to see wallets that are able to interact as the applications on the Web3 environment start moving away from DeFi and just financial applications to real core transactional or utility applications. I think that you're going to see those wallets become much more important in how they're able to not only gather that information, provide authentication services, but then also interact with different application ecosystems. So what are some of the challenges? It's like, well, one of the challenges is like if you have ever tried to use Web3 wallet like MetaMask, for example, really becomes the issue of saying, okay, how complex or how technical do you have to do? So if we want to move from the early adopter market where we are, it's like to the consumer market, we need to make that type of onboarding seamless. It's like we also have to make the whole experience of tying into the applications as seamless as it is right now, interestingly enough. It's like without adding the complexity of like what are your private keys and those components. So FIDO in itself brings a ton of value to that experience because they can really make it. It can enhance the customer or the end user experience. It's like, well, making it easy for them to interact on Web3 and Web2 applications. The second component that I think it's missing is really, do you have a strong root of trust as part of your identity? So for certain applications, you may not need that. It's like you may want to be totally anonymous, and that's fine. But for some other applications, it's like you may require that. It's like for some things like zero knowledge trust, in the sense, are you over a certain age to be able to get access to certain tools or certain websites? It's like, are you the person that you say that you are as you're trying to open up some financial products? Are you the person that you say that you are as you're trying to access your medical healthcare records and those components? All of those things work. It's like if there's a strong root of trust, it's like where relying parties are able to trust that environment. It exists on the Web2 components. It's like in the Web2 components, there's a lot of KYC and those things, but also because the information is residing in their garden, within their application, then there's a lot of trust behind that, or there's a lot of understanding of that. That brings a lot of risk and brings a lot of different issues that we've been going on. It's like, which is really limits the customer choice and what they can do. So the ability is like to use some of the best things that the Web3 brings, which is the decentralization and the ability to control that. It's like we need to marry it then to the seamless transaction and interoperability that Web2 today is really providing. Because the key problem still remains the same. It's like on Web3, one of the big things that's happening is really, can you trust the other party? And it's really for certain transactions, especially around as you start moving to the higher end into the stack, in the sense of the utility stack. I think that you're going to have, you have to know, as a relying party, you have to know that you're interacting with the person that you say, that you think that you're interacting with. And as an individual, you also have to have assurances that the other party is really the person that you believe. And even if you do a peer-to-peer transaction, in the sense, let's say on healthcare, between a patient and a doctor, you want to make sure that those two personalities or those two personas are based on a strong root of trust. So based on that, then here's an approach that we're proposing, or the hypothesis that we talked to at Authenticate, which is really using FIDO as one of the protocols, as like to be able to do that. And really, it has multiple components, but one of the key components is really to create a new digital wallet or a component so that it can be integrated into the digital wallet stack that has a link into government issued credentials, mobile license, driver license, etc. Some of those components. Some of those infrastructures are running on PKI. So it's like, what is the onboarding process? What is the verification process of that certificate as it moves into the mobile device? Then, as you have the digital wallet or that technology stack, so that you're able to interact not only with Web2 applications, but also with their counterparts on the Web3 environment, providing that seamless experience. And FIDO, by not having to request passwords, being able to use and leverage the phone devices, their sensors, and some of the other opportunities, is in a unique position to be able to really to provide a seamless experience to that user and really enter any type of those type of interoperability or environments and applications. So what's the value? It's like the value at the end of the day is really pretty simple. It's like one single set of credentials that is trusted by both relying parties in Web2 and Web3 environments, but it's under the control of the individual. It's like the individual has the control of what information am I going to share at a certain moment in time and with what application. You cannot do as much on the Web 2, but definitely as those applications are starting to migrate, or some new applications and opportunities are happening on the Web 3. Now it provides the consumer with a choice. It's like, so for example, it's like if you think about healthcare, it's like where today you are, as a consumer, you're pretty tied to the network and the services where your medical record is. What happens if you were not? It's like, what happens if your medical record was sitting in an Oracle in a digital wallet on your cell phone? It's like, and it gives you the ability to go to any doctor or any provider, it's like at a certain given time, because you're able to share information that otherwise is very difficult to share. What happens is like, and then that record gets updated, and now you're able to share it with any of your other providers. Maybe it's your primary care network. It also creates a different level of competition into healthcare. It creates a different level of opportunity also for insurance and other services. So that's just one of the examples that we are looking at. So the why now, the rails for Web3 applications and new experiences are happening. It's like they're being placed into the system. Mobile is the device of choice for individuals to be able to interact with the new ecosystems. One of the key things for FIDO is the adoption of passkey. So it allows you for key recovery in a very simple and trustworthy way. And the market is growing at 44% year over year. So what is another sample use case apart from healthcare? So what about is like, for example, hotels, is like, or new experiences where there's new experiences moving. So you have your physical experience on your current environment. You have also your web experience is really on for rewards, concert tickets, things like that. You may be using your Web 2 applications, but on top of that, you may have some Web 3 applications that for activities that have been tokenized. It's like, for example, it's like maybe you can buy an NFT experience. It's like there's an experience tied to the NFT. It's like it comes in as a certain level of token until that experience, then that turns into an NFT that you're able to then trade, sell, or just save. What happens if those rewards are able to be traded into tokens that you're able to do other experiences into the metaverse? What happens if those experiences, so your wallet becomes a much more complex environment that it's interacting again on current physical world activities, Web 2 activities, and Web 3 activities. That is one of the things that we're working with one of our customers on a global basis. So to recap, it's like, what is one of the things that we're here and that we want to put as a call to action? We're looking to work with teams to be able to try to work through that technology stack and see if we can develop a component that can be integrated by developers into their wallets that starts creating that type of experiences, like gives the consumer a choice, an opportunity to keep all of their information on their wallet while not restraining their ability to work on Web 2 or Web 3 environments. And it provides a path for the relying parties to have certain applications where they may require a strong root of trust to be able to be there. And then to use that strong root of trust is like for zero knowledge proofs or other activities. So we believe that there's a technology component that can be developed, that can be then shared with the community and can be integrated into the overall digital wallets. For that, it's like we say thank you for the opportunity to present our current hypothesis. Here's my contact information if you would like to reach out and we can continue that conversation. And I really want to thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to speak with you. Thank you, and enjoy the event.
the trends in the industry, and the event has now come to the end. However, but not the least, we would like to invite the co-chair of Business Application Working Group of APKIC, Vijay Kumar, to give us closing remarks. Vijay? Hi, Vijay. Thank you for the long waiting. So please go ahead.
Hi, hope you are able to hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to give the closing remarks. What a day it has been. I mean, very eminent speaker speaking on the Web3 subject, covering what is happening around the world and also the security challenges around it. Firstly, Mr. Srinivasan gave a great start to the event with his opening remarks. I want to echo the same and congratulate all the members included in compiling the report on Web3 security as part of our working group initiative. Also, thanks to Mr. William Gee, who gave very interesting remarks on new emerging technologies and how those have to be looked at. We also heard from Minister Audrey, very interesting insights, especially on how government is looking at it. These perspectives are very helpful. Very interesting thing is he also covered that government is not really a centralized approach and how they are open in this particular direction. Thank you for that. And thanks to Clement for presenting this report. This was the main agenda for today. It has come out quite well. Thank you for that. And also thanks to Charlotte for presenting the case study. That was very interesting. And then thanks to Tanarat for covering very detailed insights on how Thailand has been doing the Thai chain coverage, different blockchains, what are there, and also the government entities. And finally, great coverage on bridging Web3 wallets to Web2 environments from Michael. Thanks. It was very interesting. Thanks to everyone. Thanks again. This event also officially concludes the working group activity on this report. I want to congratulate the working group chair, Ms. Karen. This has been great work. Thanks for this and a great conclusion what the consortium working group has reached at. Thank you. That's it from me. Have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay. Have a nice the rest of your day. Thank you. And also, I would like to invite Karen. She is also the co-chair of the Business Application Working Group.
Hello, everyone.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I'm Karen. Everyone on the globe. On behalf of Business Case and Application Working Group of APKIC, I have to say it's never been so great and wonderful and informative event like this today. And I especially have to thanks to Chairman and Vice Chair, Mr. Srinivasan and William Gee. They are calling from Washington, D.C. and Hong Kong, respectively, and as well as Audrey Tang, the Minister of Digital Affairs, and all the speakers. And also Vijay Kumar, our another co-chair of BAWG, He's from India. Thank you so much, Kumar. Thank you so much, Vijay. And all the outcomes and discussion will be well collected and provided to APKIC members. And hopefully it's very helpful to everyone, no matter on your job or in your daily life. And appreciate for all your participants. And hope to see you soon again. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karen. So this is the end of our events. And if you have any questions, just feel free to email us. We will have more and more events on Web3 and security in the future, especially next year. So let's take a last one group photo together. So can we have Charlotte, Wei Zhong, Karen, and Clement Taka at the center of the stage, please. Okay, one more. 1, 2, 3. Vijay, you can say no. Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you so much for your participation. I will see you next time. Thank you. Thank you, Vijay. Thank you,